It's now time for us to get inside of Constitutionally Speaking. And we've got a big topic that we'll be looking at this morning. There are two major wars that are now raging in the world. Most recent being the outbreak of hostilities between Israel and Iran. But of course, we've had the Russian and Ukraine conflict for some time. And you would say, okay, well, these are happening nowhere near Jamaica geographically, but it's not developments that we can ignore. And in fact, the international media have brought these wars into our living rooms and into our faces in real time on a daily basis. The truth is that both of these wars have global implications. Hundreds of lives have been lost, and millions of people have been displaced. And so for this segment, we want to revisit from, I'm sure that Mr. McKenzie would remind me, is an entirely neutral position. The whole matter of crimes in international armed conflicts. It promises to be a very interesting program. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Constitutionally Speaking is on right now. And I'd like to welcome my usual and well-informed guest, the Deputy Public Defender, none other than Mr. Herbert McKenzie. Good morning, Mr. Mack.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Is the kind of intro that I reserve for artists who are going to come on stage and bust the place, you know. but even as a legal luminary, I'm sure that you'll find ways to do just that within information that you share. So it's a big topic, Mr. Mack. Crimes in international armed conflicts. So many of them. Take it away.
Yes, well, after your introduction, you mentioned the fact that we were so geographically far removed.
Yes.
We might think it doesn't have anything to do with us, but it certainly has, especially the Middle East conflict. Because if this thing were to escalate, and Iran, with geographical close to the Strait of Hormuz, was to close off that passage, and the entire world would be in a problem. Oil price would skyrocket. Strait of Hormuz is that passage through which a vast majority of the world oil passes through ships. Insofar as Ukraine is concerned, depending on the outcome, it may shift, or it has the potential of shifting the balance of power on the global scale, and that may have geopolitical implications for us here in the Caribbean, right next door to the major power, United States.
Yeah.
So they are not remote from us, despite the distance they are from us. Now, even in war, in conflict of arms, there are laws. People call it the laws of war, and some people are surprised to know that amongst the clash of arms, there are laws that regulate the engagement of combatants, laws that regulate the treatment of civilians and that are non-combatants, and the treatment of combatants taken by one side as prisoners of war. These laws are contained in the Geneva Convention, and some of the aspects of the convention that are relevant include that which says that combatants are not supposed to engage civilians with gunfire. Whether they are combatant infantryman on the ground, whether they are combat man in the air firing from a gunship, or firing missile from a fast-flying jet, or whether they are naval combatant at sea, shooting on shore, combatants are not supposed to engage civilians with gunfire. And we see quite a number of that in both wars, hospitals, residential centers being attacked by missile and other type of high-tech firearms. Combatants or fighters in these armed conflicts under the Geneva Convention are not allowed to attack ambulances. The ambulances usually bear the big red plus mark.
Yes. That's
a universal or plus cross. It's a universal symbol showing that these are vehicles that convey sick, lame, dead, and dying. And there are other internationally recognized symbols too, like the Red Crescent. But these vehicles, they can be land-based vehicles, they can be helicopters, and other type of vehicles. They are off the table for attack by combatants. But again, we see it in the Middle East, where veritable vehicles during these times come under attack. Usually, the attacking side say it's accidental or attributed to the other side. Similarly, under Geneva Convention, the law does not allow one armed force to kill combatants that it takes as prisoner of war from the opposing force during the time of conflict. In other words, if you capture a set of your enemies or they surrender to you with the right flag, once they are in your custody and they become prisoner of war, the law says you cannot kill them. If you kill them, that constitutes a crime. Persons found or persons who are accused of these crimes are tried by an international court. It's called the International Criminal Court. The short name for it is ICC. This court was established by a treaty called Treaty of Rome, or the Rome Statute. And under the ICC jurisdiction, there are 4 categories of the most serious crimes that are identified. They are genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crime of aggression. I'll touch on each shortly. But let me just say something about the ICC versus the ICJ. Sometimes some of us, even as lawyers, tend to confuse them. Now, the ICC, like I said, is a criminal court that prosecutes individuals under the Rome Statute. The ICJ, International Court of Justice, is a civil court which hears disputes between countries. So, for example, now the dispute between Guyana and Venezuela
yes,
as a territory, that's a civil matter that would be adjudicated over by the ICJ, International Court of Justice. The ICC, International Criminal Court, is the one that exercises criminal jurisdiction over individuals. And it does that where, according to the Rome Statute, the persons alleged to have committed these serious crimes are not prosecuted by their home state or their national country. For various reasons. Either they can't prosecute them, or for that reason they will not prosecute them. It's a statute that was adopted in Italy, hence the name Rome. It was adopted in Rome in July 1998, came into full force in 2002. Now let's now turn to the categories of crimes that the ICJ addresses that are committed during war, as the international lawyers call it, during time of armed conflict. I mentioned 4. Let's start with genocide. Genocide is the deliberate killing of a large number of people because of their nationality, their ethnicity, their race, or their religion. Some places call it slaughter. Sometimes it's referred to as massacre or mass murder or annihilation. All those different words refer to called genocide. And in fact, I might add too, if they set out to actually annihilate a group of people because of their sexual orientation, that may be classified as genocide. I think we would all agree that the Holocaust during World War II carried out by the Germans would be a classic example of genocide. Instead of World War II, that would have been 1945, the world has only seen 3 legally recognized genocide under international law. Okay. One was in Cambodia between 1975 and 1979, the Pol Pot regime. Then there is Rwanda, that 100-day massacre in Rwanda, where the Hutus massacred the Tutsis. These are the different ethnic groups in the country. And I think more recently, the Bosnia in 1995, where there was a massacre Srebrenica. Those three. Now, there is no talk that what happened a couple months ago by Israel against the Hamas people may be classified as genocide. That too is yet to be determined by the international courts of justice or the bodies, international bodies who seek to get the alleged perpetrators before that court. And the alleged perpetrators in that allegation, as it now stands, are the Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu, and the Israeli military chief. I can't recall his name right now.
With what is going on, the talk of nuclear weaponry and so on, it definitely makes us get even more concerned when we hear terms like genocide, because that is an avenue that could lead to genocide. I'd say, wouldn't you, Mr. Mack?
Indeed, it is, because nuclear deployment of a nuclear weapon would have far and far-reaching effects on people totally removed from concern with the wars itself.
Yes.
Good point. Now, time is up on us, but I can touch on the next crime. It's called war crimes. A war crime in law is described as a deliberate violation of the laws of war that gives rise to individual criminal liability. It may be committed in war as well as may be committed in internal armed conflict. You have a civil war within your country as well as a war between nations. And these war crimes include the willful killing, we know it's murder, taking of hostages, torture, directly attacks against buildings like churches, education, historical monument, mutilation, all of these type of things that we see happens when some countries at war capture like the females, they carry them away and rape them. Those sort of things constitute those war crimes, and those can attract prosecution before the International Criminal Courts of Justice. I see the time is upon us. I'm going to cut it here, and come next week I continue with the other types of crimes that can be committed in conflict.
I definitely look forward to it, and also even to get some more information on the matter of the International Criminal Court and the part that they play in prosecuting some of these crimes. So yes, and based on what is happening right now in the Middle East, this topic will still be very, very relevant when we meet again next Tuesday morning. So thanks for the information you shared today, Mr. Mack. You have a great day, and we catch up again sometime soon. All the best.
Thank you.